So most of the superintendents that I talk to about contractor grading say to me, Jason, this is the dumbest damn thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. And it still continues to be one of the most impactful things that you can ever do on your project site. There's this concept of you can't manage what you can't measure. And that's true. I used to have on my projects contractors that were not doing their safety reporting. They weren't showing up on time. They weren't attending huddles. They were just acting like shitheads. And I went to an AGC lean course, and that AGC lean course encouraged all of the same things that we hear about in the lean builder: collaboration, respect, using the foreman. But they also said, as a part of a team where the trade partners are performing together, you should consider grading each other, grading the performance, and just having that be out in the open. And so immediately I started doing this. I started grading the contractors, and I was surprised that most of the contractors were C's, D's, and F's. And I would grade things like, were you clean this week? Did you turn in your daily reports? Were your huddles on time? Did you attend your pre-install meeting and use your quality checklist? Like simple things. I was amazed at how low of a score they had. And then I started grading their performance and assigning scores. And I would copy the owner, the owners of companies, everybody, God angels, and these witnesses. Everybody saw this scoring. Everybody saw it. And one time I had this lady, and by the way, I like skinny people, heavy people. I like if you're brown or black or purple. I like everybody. I'm just telling you that she was really big as a part of the story. This woman could have mopped the floor with me. She came down Phoenix, down Tucson. Her company got a bad grade. She's like, Jason, I want to meet with you. And I'm like freaked out. I'm like scared. Like, this woman could kill me. She had a Scottish accent, even further intimidating, super sharp. And she's like, Jason, why did we get an F on the scoring? And I'm like, whoa. Like, first of all, after backing up 5 feet and getting no, I'm just kidding. But after my first initial shock of her coming to the job site, I'm like, well, you got a bad grade because they didn't stay clean this week. They didn't attend the huddles, and they didn't turn in their safety reports. And she's like, well, what's so hard about that? I'm like, well, I don't know. You tell me. Well, so how do we get a better grade? All you have to do is do those things weekly. Well, my foreman should just do that. And she drove all 2 hours from Phoenix to yell at me about this. And I'm like, all your foreman has to do are these simple things. And she stormed out. Thankfully, I didn't get my butt kicked. And she stormed out of the room and went and had a talking to the foreman. I never had a problem again. Within 6 weeks on a 2-year project, everybody on the project were scoring at A's or B's, except for one contractor that went from an F to a C. And that was the exterior skin contractor. And if you knew them out here, you would be like, wow, a C is pretty much an A for them because they were so horrible. I have achieved more success on a project site with that grading system than almost anything else. In fact, when I started to share it with Oakland Construction, they're like, Jason, now all of our field operations are great, but now we still can't get submittals. Can we start scoring the office? And actually that company started to give a contractor score for the office. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. You can use this anywhere. So let me tell you what this is, going back to the blog post, and I'll actually give you a link to this. But if you score yourself first, where you're like, okay, everybody, I want all the trade partners in our trade partner meetings, in our trade partner weekly tacticals, in our weekly work planning meetings, whatever you want to call them, your sub meetings, your trade meetings, whatever. I want you to score us. Each one of you, here's a sheet, score us on each of these categories. Do we have good bathrooms? Do we have a good lunch area? Do we respond to what you need? Is the plan clear? Do we try to keep things stable for you? Is the site clean? Are deliveries pretty well organized? And if they score and you get them used to that, then a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, it's not a stretch for you to then say, all right, now I'm going to start to score you all, and we're going to publish these scores on a weekly basis. If you do this, you will improve your trade partners. So we've heard a lot of, well, they're not entirely bought in, or they don't show up to our meetings, or blah, 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 blah. If they care about their scores, their performance will improve. I just shared the link in the chat. At the bottom of this, I have this grading sheet that you can download right from the website. But first, before we do that, I'm sure you have some initial shock like most people do. What questions or thoughts do you have so we can just get them out in the open?
I've always graded the trade partners, but I didn't do it till the end of the job for costing to decide if they wanted to work with them again in the future or not. So I can see the benefit of doing it on a routine basis.
I like that.
And we have a grading sheet that we use on post-project, like Bob's saying, so we know when we're going into estimating if we have issues with a trade partner before selecting them, work through it on the contract.
Would you be willing, David, for project teams to score them as they went?
Oh yeah, I think it'd be beneficial.
I love it.
I guess I missed this. Are you posting these in a
the trailer
conspicuous manner and you're just having them all observe each other's grades.
Yeah, it's not public school. We're allowed to share their grades.
Peer pressure works wonders.
Yeah, nobody wants to have a bad grade sitting on the board. You start driving it. It does one of two things. Either some people will say whatever and they'll just keep doing what they're doing, or they don't want to be on the bottom and they'll try to pick up to get a better score up there.
Yeah, let me actually show that to you. So I appreciate those comments. To answer your question directly, where I suggest doing it weekly, and I would send the information in 2 locations, actually. A good practice is to have emails sent out. And these emails, you can have Nico with LeanTac do this, or you can do it yourself. But I always liked at the end of a schedule update and my internal strategic planning and procurement meeting to send out an email to all the trade partners. Usually it would have a KPI dashboard on, hey, how's our schedule looking right now? Hey, here's different metrics that I want to share. Here's how many buffers I have left. Here's a quick picture of the schedule. Here's our tax zone maps. At the end, it would say, here are the assignments for everybody. In this kind of a standard email, you could 100% put the grading and copy that to where all of the people that are involved with the project see that grading criteria. The other thing that I would highly recommend, and let's see if I can access my website over here. If I come in here to the blog, Elevate blog, I wanted to go to signage. This signage that you'll see when you go to the website, I know that Green Street has all their own specific stuff, but the Circle of Trust sign was specifically designed for this. There we go, here. Contractors that consistently get good scores go in the circle of trust. You would list your A players to the left, your F players to the right. Now, somebody once told me, hey, that's really mean to list your F players. But I only really started getting great traction with it once I posted the F players. Because to y'all's point, nobody wants to show as an F player. It really has always worked out. I've never had any problems, and I've never had any problems for anybody that's ever implemented it. So hopefully that answers the question. Brian, did that answer the question, buddy?
I think, in my humble opinion, I think it would be important, for the reason that you said in your anecdote, that somebody drove 2 hours just to find out, hey, we would be getting a good grade if we kept it clean and we did, we showed up to the meetings. I feel like, along with the grading, rather than just sharing, hey, everybody, so-and-so is an F, you give that metric for everyone at that time. So, hey, you can see that so-and-so is not keeping it clean. That's why they're graded low there. You remove any possibility for an arbitrary or capricious grade, and everyone else can see, yeah, they're not keeping their stuff clean, or they're not showing up to meetings. So it takes all of that argument away from it, so they don't feel like they're just being picked on. They have that metric right there.
So make sure they have clear expectations.
Yes, and yeah,
I agree. So one of the things after the story is decide on the grading criteria, explain that, then begin having trade partners grade us so they get used to it, which I think ties into your point. Then begin grading them, then post their scores and have those conversations so it's not a surprise. So I feel like this detail down here ties nicely into your point. Would you agree, Brian?
yes.
Okay, totally agree. What I'm telling you is that open collaborative environments, there shouldn't be any, everybody knows how everybody's responding or doing, how other people are doing. The problem is some people don't know how they are affecting others. Let me say that again. Everybody knows how other people are performing, but sometimes they don't realize how they're performing in reference to others. And so this scoring sheet allows everybody to see and be like, oh, I don't want an F. I don't want to be that guy. And peer pressure really is a thing. And so since peer pressure is a thing, instead of using it to bully people in high school to where somebody feels depressed and wants to die by suicide, let's use it for something good, which is to elevate everybody on a project so that they can make more money, be happier, get home on time, and be safer with their people. So any questions, thoughts, comments, complaints, concerns?
Do we have to give curve on some certain job sites right now? Some people that don't clean. Give a curve on these grades.
Grading curve.
Well,
give them a handicap.
we're gonna get to the point where all new projects are to a point where they're gonna be expected to do this. And every superintendent, I'll repeat what Jimmy said. Jimmy's expecting every superintendent to own this and to own the cleanliness and to own the scheduling. That's why he did that little test with y'all. So I don't think we should use a bell curve. I think we need to step up to the plate. So here in 2 or 3 months, let me see if I know when our boot camp is. We got 4 weeks until we should expect that all jobs are beautifully clean and organized. And I don't think that's too much to ask. A great point though, Indra. I want you to feel listened to and supported. I think probably no bell curve. Probably we just need to have the supers keep their jobs clean. Because remember, real quick, Indra, let me put you on the spot. What is the goal of the Green Street production system, the GPS? What is the goal of GPS? Do you remember?
Oh man, I'm gonna fail this one. Keep us on track and get to the finish line.
Nope, actually,
No?
and I love you. I'll give you a heart. It's to deliver what we sell. So, Indra, to your point, which is a good point, Indra, don't feel like I'm picking on you. If it was to get people to the finish line, then it would be okay to grade on a bell curve because we're just trying to get to the finish. But what Jimmy said is the goal is to deliver what we sell, which means that when a client comes and walks our project, it's clean, safe, organized, beautiful, on schedule, with flow, happy team, collaborative environment, trust, people are meeting their career goals, and we have raving fan clients. Does that make sense, boss? So I'm listening to you and I'm tying into your point. All right, so are we all good on the grading system? So I can't force you to do this, and it's not yet a Green Street policy, but I would encourage you to implement this. And I'd like to know right now, is there anybody that would volunteer to give this real good go on their project? Is there anybody that could volunteer for that?
Talking about on the grading?
Yeah, to implement the grading. Is there somebody that can give it
Yeah.
hell? So what we're asking you to do is to start this and to start grading. And the blog post is right there in the chat. You're ready to go. And I'd like you to return a report with your success or failure.
Jason, I have a question. When we ask these trade partners, which we can start tomorrow in our pool session, to start grading us, do they do that like as a group or do they do that individually? How does the process work? Do they write it on a little piece of paper and give it to us? They send us an email? What do they do? How do you get their response?
Here's what I would do if I was me. I would print out the grading forms for each human before my next Trade Partner Weekly Tactical. And I would have them there and I would say, hey, everybody, we're going to start grading each other's performance because we're here to make money and take care of each other. And we do that as a team. And so we have to be the example first. So I'm asking you all to grade us first. Here are the things we want you to score. Don't be mean just because you don't like me or something, but grade us objectively and fairly on each of these categories. Please just just grab a pencil right now, take that, score that right now, and have them score it. And then I would aggregate that and I would just bring that up and I would say, hey, we got a 76%. This is what you told us to work on. And then I would go improve those. And then I would do it again and improve and do it again and improve. After a couple weeks, whether you need 1, 2, 3, or 4 weeks, then I would be like, all right, everybody, I am going to clearly explain the grading system. You're going to grade us every week and we're going to grade you every week. And this is the criteria. We expect this, and this. Probably, Justin, because you're doing this, you'll probably want to do your self-scoring for 2 weeks and then start on week 3 scoring everyone else so we have some good data by the time we hit boot camp. Then I would just say, hey, we scored you all non-subjectively based on this, and here are your scores and here's why. And just make sure it's kind of a team consensus. And if they're a little bit upset, just walk them through it and say, this is how you can raise your score. You weren't on time. We expect you to be on time for huddles, or we need to see some more cleanliness from you. And then say a week later, all right, now that you're used to the scoring system, now we're going to start emailing this to all of our companies. It goes to my boss, it goes to your boss. So just ease them into it. Bob, did that answer the question, buddy?
Yes.
Okay. You're like, gosh, dang it, Jason, shut up. I love it.
So Jason, is the goal of the grading system to grade the contractor as a whole group or the individuals of the group?
Individuals. I want each individual contractor, including us, to have a score.
All right.
I love that. Thank you all. If you have any other questions, let me know.